Welcome back into Horned Frogs Nation. I'm Brian Estridge. We're presented today here by our Dallas-Fort Worth area BMW Centers, and Raegan Pebley is alongside, the head women's basketball coach at TCU. And we're zooming with Raegan. Good to see your face, Raegan.
Thank you. Yours too. I can't wait until we can see people live and in person.
Yes.
Although I might have to get to the salon a little bit or do something prior to that day, but I can't wait for it.
That's me. I can't remember the last. Fortunately, I don't have to worry about a haircut too much. But it's been a while. By the way, you got a beautiful setting there. I love that. We have been doing a couple of zooms around, and we see a lot of blank walls and everything. But I love the fact that you're getting outside. And aren't you noticing a lot of people are doing that during this thing? That we're getting outside a lot more. We're seeing our neighbors walk in. It's fun.
It's so true. Our home is right on Overton Park Drive East, just down the hill from campus, less than a mile away. And it's right along the trail system. And we get to see all kinds of people, families, dogs, a big variety of dogs that we see. We've got this cute little Positivity Park is what it's called across from our house, where people drop rocks with just notes of encouragement, some prayers. So I get to literally go 10 steps outside my front door and have this as my backyard. I love it.
That is awesome. Hey, let's dive into a couple of different things here. I don't want to spend a ton of time on this, but I think in fairness, we need to go back to March and talk a little bit about how the season ended, how well your team was playing, how there were many of us who thought you had a chance to win that tournament in Kansas City, how that last practice, how good of a practice that was. I mean, it was set up perfectly. I mean, that had to be so frustrating when you found out that the tournament was over and that postseason would not happen.
Man, you had to go backwards, didn't you? Because it's just still, I catch myself when I really spend time talking about it or thinking about it, just getting emotional because, I mean, this was just such a special team with a special group of seniors, special newcomers. Honestly, so much gets said and it's deserved about that group of seniors. But I'll tell you, in my 20 years of coaching, I have a lot of incredible memories, but the moment that our team had on this court in Schulmeyer Arena when we got back from hearing that the NCAA tournament was canceled and it was just us, incredibly intimate, is probably my finest memory I've had in 20 years. And I'm thankful for it. So, yeah.
Tell me, do you ever allow yourself to go there, and that there is what could have happened if if the NCAA tournament would have, if you had that run in the Big 12, if the NCAA tournament would have been played? Do you ever allow yourself to go there, or is that just not healthy?
Brian, we were going there all season. We had that vision all season, exactly what was going to happen and how we were going to get there. We knew we weren't, we didn't have the vision of going to university. We were not afraid of the bumps in the road that might come, but we, all the pieces of the vision that we were, that exercise had been completed a lot and still does. And it's honestly going to be an edge that this team continues to carry into the 2021 season, whatever that's going to all look like. But, that edge of getting left out, being that first team left out in the 18-19 season, fueled the vision we had this year and the performances and the chemistry and camaraderie and the work. And, it's something we still talk about. I think this could have been a team that honestly could have made a Sweet 16 run. I think we had that kind of potential. And then you just never know beyond that. You need the luck of the draw with seedings and pairings and things like that. That's part of the magic of March. But, and I think it's okay to dream that way and think that way.
You mentioned whatever the future looks like, and we don't know as of this date what that future looks like. What we do know is there'll be some new faces on this roster. You mentioned that senior class and how terrific they were. You lose 5 of them, but you get some good news back in that Michelle Berry is going to be able to return for a 6th year. And I mean, that's important. That's good. That's a good starting point right there.
It was awesome. And it was really kind of cool that Erin Brown from our compliance office got to be the one that helped break the
Yes.
news. So we had a team Zoom already scheduled, and Michelle was in the middle of talking. A lot of people have seen it out there on Twitter, but and Erin just popped in. And it was kind of funny because, compliance will do their pop-ins to make sure, like in your practice, that you're doing things all right and following the rules. And so we were like, oh, compliance, of course they're going to pop into our team Zoom. And she dropped the news with Michelle, and Michelle broke down in tears. And she's going to help, I think, Lauren Hurd be a great leader for this class, this team, this coming year. But yeah, we have some other new players that we're really excited about as well, with the freshman class that we signed in the fall, that you and I think got a chance to talk about in an earlier episode. But then we signed a few transfers. We have a junior college point guard who is ranked one of the top junior college guards in the country. And she's going to provide, I think, a lot of depth for us there. We also have a young woman, Kayla, out of George Washington, who's a 6'4" true post player. Not sure yet if she's going to be able to play right away, kind of waiting to hear what the NCAA does with transfer rules. But she's going to provide a lot of great help in the post. She was an all-conference player for them there, and she'll come in as a junior. And then Aaliyah Jackson, who is coming to us as a grad transfer, from Texas A&M. We recruited Aaliyah out of high school. Originally, she's from Arkansas, but her parents since have moved out here to DFW. And she's been a part of a lot of winning ways at A&M, sat behind the last few years one of the top players in the country in Kennedy Carter, so just didn't get as many minutes as she would have if she was on any other roster. But she's an explosive guard that can also play the power forward. She's very similar to a Jade Woods, that I think she's going to be able to really contribute quite a bit for us.
That sounds awesome. All right, I want to leave with this. Have you had a chance during this pandemic to watch the Michael Jordan special on ESPN at all? Okay, I didn't need to ask, but I thought I would ask. I knew you had watched it. After going through it here, what are some of the takeaways from it that you learned about Michael that you can relate to your team? And I'm thinking specifically here about his competitiveness. Maybe no one more competitive in the history of the game than Michael Jordan. Were there any takeaways from it that stand out for you?
There's a lot. And that's another thing that our team's done is we've debriefed those episodes together and just kind of see what their takeaways are. And God, there's so many. I think one is how he, whether it was his high school team, his North Carolina team, or, his teams when he was with the Bulls, and even when he came back to the Bulls and when he was with the baseball team, the approach he took in asserting his leadership. He didn't come in right away and just start talking and jabbing. He came in and he worked. Yeah. He got after it and he worked, and he held himself accountable first. And as a leader, if you don't hold yourself accountable at a high level, good luck getting others to hold themselves accountable. My own game or others. But, oh my gosh, literally a tree just fell behind me.
I just heard that. Oh, wow.
Wow. It's a big tree that just
Everybody,
fell.
I hope everyone's okay. Yeah,
it's okay. My sweet, quiet, serene park is just falling around. I think
that's our cue from God that we're done.
I think so. I think so.
Raegan, always a pleasure. Thank you for taking the time here, and thank you for carving out these few minutes with us. We appreciate your leadership for the women's basketball program. We're fired up. We look forward to seeing you again in person when we can all be together. Until then, keep your family and your team safe, and keep doing what you're doing. That's all we can do, right?
Well, same. And thank you for everything you're doing to help keep this frog family all together, from our fans to our coaches, and spreading the good word about what's happening inside of TCU.
There you go, Raegan Pebley, the head women's basketball coach at TCU. That'll do it for this edition of Horned Frogs Nation, presented by our friends in the Dallas-Fort Worth area BMW Centers. Until we meet again, stay safe and go Frogs.